Okay, guys, I hope things are well with you. It is Wednesday afternoon, and I'm producing one more video to introduce our readings for next week, the first week of February, which will be our fourth scheduled meeting. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about a piece of software called EndNote. So I will try to do this in about 5 minutes. I'm looking at my clock here. I'll try to talk quickly, but I have a few important things to say to you. So I'm posting here on the blog um, my list of readings for this week. If you have not already been on the blog and looked at my videos, you should do so. They're compelling, all right? So I went through the trouble to make these videos to help us through this week. Please look at them. You have to know what's in there. All right, let me talk a little bit about the readings for next week. There are two big ideas that are enormous theories in the field of communication broadly and in the field of strategic communication specifically, especially framing. But the first theory is cultivation, which you might have heard of. It'll be a repetition for some of you. It is a big, influential idea in the 20th century. It remains influential and widely used today. You want to understand cultivation. And the first article here, I think, does a good job of doing that. It is there's a subheading in there which talks about cultivation effects. That section is particularly important. I recognize in this article that you might encounter some material that you read it and you go, what does that mean? And the reason I say that is because I read this article and I sometimes encounter things and then I think, what does that mean? If you encounter such things, send them to me or post them in the comments because it gives us a chance to talk about a couple unusual aspects of these particular researchers and the idea of cultivation. Now, there are some good links down here about cultivation, which I'll come to in a second. The second article is this one, Tewksbury and Schufli, News Framing Theory and Research. You must understand what framing is, where it comes from. It is one of the foundational theories to public relations and strategic communication. You guys probably all know the term. This article goes into, in depth, some of the effects that we have seen. It is a more academically written article, but I think it's quite good. I think it's you're not going to encounter those moments that you will with the Morgan article up here. So it's a good one. It's a good one to set aside and keep. And these are ideas that you have to know. If you go to take a job for a political campaign, they're going to talk about framing in the office and around the strategy table. You need to know that. Now, these second articles, Price and Capella talk about public discussion of gay civil unions. They offer evidence of framing and some focus groups. There's a distinction that this article makes between sociological and psychological framing. I like that. Read that paragraph. But Tewksbury is the most important article. And the last one here I will leave here for those of you particularly interested. But if you're in a rush, you can skip over Hallahan. We have a couple other optional readings to add to this. There's a great deal written on both of these topics. You then have down here some efforts to some links to things that might help you along. George Gerbner, who is a proponent of cultivation, there's a lot written about him. Take a look here at the Wikipedia page about Gerbner, who is a very famous man. There's a video of him talking here and about some of the issues in cultivation. This is a good article, a good video on issue framing. And there's a Wikipedia page on framing, which I haven't looked at recently. So the big ones here are the top two. Big ones are the top two, and again, some of these theories, sometimes we encounter a little theory, whether we remember it, I think. But cultivation and framing are central. You need to know those. All right, that's 3 minutes talking about that. Let me talk for 3 minutes about something else. There's a piece of software that is available to you if you would like to use it. It is called EndNote. It is available through myamerican.edu. I find it to be tremendously useful and highly recommend it. You do not have to use it, but I highly recommend it. I'm going to open up my EndNote page. This is what EndNote looks like. It is a place where you can store your documents, your papers, your sources for all of your research. I have been doing this a long time, and you can see, you look right up here, I have 1,800 academic articles, books, newspaper articles, blog tweets, all sorts of stuff sorted in here. So if you take a look at one of these, I'm going to need to make this a little smaller. What you can see here is if I click on this article, it's called Media Priming and Updated Synthesis. Here is the citation for it. and here is the article itself. So when I'm working at home, I have two computer screens up. On one I'm writing, and the other I've got EndNote up. I can bounce from article to article. They're all sorted just how I want them. I can search through my database for any articles about framing I have, any articles about cognitive dissonance, etc. I'm happy to do that for you. If you're working in a topic, you can send me an email and say, hey, what do you have on this theory? I can search my EndNote in seconds. Then the beauty of EndNote is this. Let's say I find this article right here. Actually, I'll pick this one. Rossman, the problem of causality. And as I'm working here in Word, I'm typing out and I say causality is indeed a problem. There we go. And then what I can do is I can go to here inside Word and immediately insert the citation. EndNote creates the bibliography for me. So once you start using EndNote, your bibliographies will always have everything that you cite and nothing but the stuff you cite. So in terms of having to go through your paper to make sure that all the citations you list are in your bibliography, you don't have to do that anymore. And that mistake is one that annoys me greatly. If you cite something in your paper and then don't include it in your bibliography, or vice versa. It's great sloppiness, and we don't have to do it. So, likewise, if I say, oh, here, another citation here, and if I'm in EndNote and I'm looking around, and actually let me make this bigger, and I find, oh, here are all the citations. Look at all the citations from Professor Schufli at the University of Wisconsin. And I say I'm going to cite all of them. I can just click Insert Cite, and they all are in there. And they're in there perfect. If for some reason you work for a professor next semester who says, I don't use APA style, I use Chicago style, you click the button right up here and it switches everything to, there we go, Chicago style. Just like that, it's all in a different citation style. This software is free. It is available to AU students. It is through myamerican.edu. There is a short learning curve. You need to spend a little time figuring it out, but it's not difficult. Especially if you're early in your program, I cannot recommend it highly enough. It is not required, however, but if you're early in your program, I recommend it. Okay. Please take a look at all the prior videos. I'm going to post a place for our discussants to begin to offer some comments. If you look here on our blog, you'll note that I offered some comments down here about myself to post a synopsis of your assignment 1, which of course is returned. I have presentations posted, all this other stuff I talked about yesterday. I will stop there, and I look forward to class next Tuesday. We're going to have a busy day, but we will get caught up, and we have a lot of really interesting topics to discuss. Okay, thanks, and have a great week.